What's up everybody? It is time again for me to go back on the road. I've got to head over to Spain. Like I said in the last vlog, I'm going to be working with Rafa at Bonsai Sense in Mallorca. Been going there twice a year for the last few years. We've been operating a school together there. So this is going to be one of the last sessions of the school. So I'm really excited to see the progress of the students when I get over there and show you guys what they've been working on for the last few years. We're even going to take some of the trees from the school over to the Bonsai Sense show in Eisei-en in France, which is at the end of this tour of mine that's coming up here. So I'm going to be doing a few days in Mallorca, a few days in France, then we're going to head down to Eisei-en, a couple hours outside of Paris, actually near Dijon, not far from there. We're going to head over to that area, do the Bonsai Sense show, do some demonstrations, and hopefully have a good time throughout the whole process. Before we do that though, I want to show you this photo behind me here. This is one of my favorite gardens in Japan. It's Ryoanji. It's up in the northwest corner of Kyoto. I actually took this photo last time I was in Japan about 9 months ago or so. Decided to blow it up, put it on canvas, and put it on the wall in my house here. So every morning when I wake up, this is the first thing I see. Gets me in the right sort of state of mind for the rest of the day. Before we head over to the airport, I want to show you guys one more thing in my house here. This right behind me here was made by a good friend of mine, Tom Ross, who was actually a student at the Fujikawa International School of Bonsai at Eisei-en while I was in Japan. One of the nicest guys in the world. For a celebration for me coming back to the States and opening Eisei-en, he spent dozens and dozens of hours making this right behind me here. This is actually done by burning a piece of wood with little individual fibers. He burned the entire piece of wood here in the shape of a tree that I actually styled in Japan at Eisei-en during my apprenticeship. This is actually one of my favorite trees that I ever worked on in Japan. And I told him that one time when I saw him, and he came and actually gave this to me as a gift last year in celebration of us moving back to the States. So I just wanted to show you guys this. I think this is one of the coolest things in the world. And it's actually right next to my bed. So again, every morning when I wake up, this is one of the first things that I see. So I'm gonna look at this for a couple of minutes, calm myself down a little bit, and then we're gonna go over, get on the plane, and head over to Spain. So I'll see you guys on the other side. All right, just like that, we're in Mallorca. Hello. Here with Rafa, the owner of Bonsai Sense. We're getting ready to do some workshops this weekend. We've got the first session of our school coming up, so I want to show you guys some of the highlights from that, and then we're going to be getting into working on some really special trees here at Bonsai Sense. But first and foremost, let's head in and start the workshops. Nice shot of Asma working hard right there.
Busted. Sorry.
All right, so now that we've had the first session of the school for the week, we're gonna get into actually styling some of Rafa's trees here at Bonsai Sense. Every time I come, we build on trees that we previously worked on, and that's exactly what we're gonna be doing today and tomorrow. We've got several trees that we wanna hammer out over the next couple of days, and I'm really excited to take these trees to the next step in their evolution. So we're gonna head back into the workshop and get to work on some of these awesome trees. All right, so you probably recognize this tree from a video that we did with Bonsai Empire a few years back. Well, as you can see, it survived the initial process and the potting in the wooden box. There were a lot of people who commented on that video saying the tree would definitely die because we styled it and repotted it in the same session. But because we're consummate professionals, we took very good care of the tree afterwards, or at least Rafa took care of the tree afterwards, and of course it survived. And as you can see, it's looking nice and healthy right now. The needle size has been reduced significantly over the last couple of years, and it's got really nice bud set for this upcoming spring. So we're gonna take this tree to the next step in its evolution. Rafa's taking all the wire off. We're actually putting wire right back on the tree to reset the branches in place. It's not gonna be a massive change. It's just gonna be taking it to that next step in its process. So we're gonna get into wiring and styling this tree one more time. So our next project this week is this giant Sabina juniper behind me here. This tree has been dubbed the wave by Rafa. As you can see, it's got kind of a wave-like feature through the center of the tree here. Now, this is a tree that Rafa and I have been working on for a couple of years. About a year and a half ago, we actually took this tree out of its original container, bare rooted it completely, which I don't recommend you do with most Yamadori because it's not good for the health of the tree, but with Sabina junipers, they tend to have fungal issues in the roots. So in order to prevent that fungus from spreading, we actually have to bare root the trees within a couple of years of taking them out of the mountains. So that's what we did with this tree about a year and a half ago. We let it recuperate and recover over the last year and a half, and during that period we've been slowly reducing the far right side of the tree back to this foliage right here that we're going to actually build the tree out of. We want to bring that foliage back over around near the base of the tree because of course this is the feature and we want to show that off as much as possible. So first step with this tree today is going to be to clean up the dead wood, which is what Rafa's already doing back there. We're going to be using Dremel tools, scrapers, knives, all sorts of different tools to work on that back area, get it all cleaned up so it looks nice and prominent. You can really see that feature, and then we're going to work on building the foliage. You ready to rock and roll, Rafa?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, let's do it.
You can call me stupid, yes, you can call me sheep. You can say I'm lazy, you can say I'm weak. You think that using her would get to me, and if you're right then you're in trouble deep. 'Cause I won't break, no I know I won't wait. You're in trouble deep.
All right, so while Rafa is finishing the cleanup of the deadwood section down below, I'm going to start thinning out some of the foliage up here at the top. So as I mentioned earlier, we've been slowly working this section back over the last year and a half or so, but you can see there's still a giant tuft of foliage out here on the far right of the tree. Well, this is going to be too far out on the right side of the tree to actually utilize as part of the design because, like I said before, we want to bring your eye back to the center of the tree, and this is just sticking out too far here. So the problem is we can't really remove all of this foliage all at once today. So we're going to reduce this side by about 50%, but we are going to leave a little bit on there just for the health of the tree to keep drawing sap up to the top of the plant. The problem with these Sabina junipers is if you cut big branches off, sometimes they can kill sections of the live vein further back down the trunk that are actually feeding important sections of the tree up here. So we're going to slowly reduce this back here, get the energy redirected in a positive way up here to the top, and keep this section alive. So I'm going to get into cleaning and thinning this area out now. At this stage, Rafa has finished cleaning all the dead wood and he's actually burning the newly exposed hard wood. This is going to burn off a lot of those fibers that are making the dead wood look brand new. He's going to char it to a degree where it sort of turns like an alligator skin texture, and then we're going to rub it down with a wire brush to get a lot of that ash off of there. All right, so you can see from the back side of the tree here that I've got the raffia applied and I've got the wire on there as well. I've also attached a piece of rebar here to the wooden box. We've got it butted up against the trunk. I've used rubber as a buffer between the rebar and the trunk itself so we don't damage the live tissue. Now, the reason that I put this on here is because we're gonna reorient that apex backwards up and over the inner portion of the tree, again, to show off that section. So the only way to do that was to apply heavy wire and then use this piece of rebar to pull that branch back to with a guy wire. So that's gonna be the next step in this process. I'm gonna have Rafa help me pull little by little and see if we can move that apex further towards the back and over towards the middle of the tree. All right, as you can see, this is the finished product for the time being. We just did a very basic rough styling on the tree, padded everything out, but there's not a lot of detail wire in there, and we left a lot of extra foliage on the tree just for safety's sake. You can also see that we threw a plastic bag on the end here, but that's just for the video. We're gonna take that off as soon as the video is done, put the tree right back outside. So we're gonna let this tree recuperate for at least another 1.5 years before anything else is really done to it. But in the meantime, Rafa's going to maintain it little by little, add wire to it, detail it up a bit more. So what do you think, Rafa? You think that pretty cool?
Yeah, it's very cool tree. It's a different design because normally do it in the other direction, but it's very cool, and the movement here is very nice for the top. It's, I think could be very, very good tree in the future.
I think so too. Sometimes you just gotta think outside of the box a little bit and do things slightly differently. So despite the fact that the tree is moving to the right, or at least the trunk is, we've decided to whip it back and make it move to the left. We think it sort of gives it kind of a wave-like appearance, almost like an infinity sign here, which is pretty cool. So now that we've finished this tree, we've got about 30 minutes to pack up because we're actually going to be heading over to Germany for the next 2 days. So we're going to take you guys along for that ride. So you ready to do it?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Like, ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right?